Hey everyone, we're here today with McArthur manager Oddibe McDowell. Oddibe, welcome in.
Hey, thank you, Anthony.
So we're going to start here. When you started at McArthur. A lot of people thought maybe you'd only be around for a couple years, coaching high school. With your pro experience that you had. But McArthur was always important to you, and now you've been the manager for 10 years. So why is the school and being around it so important to you?
Well, Mr. Carell, who was the AP over at Gulfstream Middle, and then he came over here at McArthur, and he just asked if I wanted to come back to my alma mater. And it was an opportune time. I was over at Everglades, and with John Lazat, who coached me, Frank Clark, uh, and the football coaches who also were here. Kind of part of that whole decision making, and it just was an opportunity that was fitted at the time. My parents were, elderly, and it was close by, and it was back home, so it just all fit at the right time.
And you've had some really good teams at McArthur. One team which went all the way to the state Final Four, and you've had some rebuilding years also. So with this year's team, where do you see that team on the spectrum between your state team and some of your rebuilding teams?
With most of these kids, eighth grade, they came out and played with the JV team, and most of the kids I had when they were ninth graders, now they're seniors, and they've developed well. They've learned the game mentally, and they prepare themselves a lot better than they did when they were freshmen, of course. And it's just starting to pay off. And with the talent that is there, the nucleus of the team, most of them are seniors, and man, they have the ability to go as far as they decide to. And that's kind of where we're at in comparison to the team that went to state. The talent was there, wasn't nearly as good as what we have now, especially with the arms. But they just all gel together at the right time. And in the game of baseball, it's kind of what happens. Once the team comes together and they start playing at the right opportune time, you never know what happens. And so that's what we're hoping for, and stay free of injury. And hopefully the guys will perform and just continue to consistently get better.
Talk a little bit about your assistant coaches, because a lot of the successful programs have really strong assistant coaches within their programs, and you have some guys that have been with you for several years now. So talk a little bit about the importance of having those type guys around you.
Well, it's just like being a team. Everybody brings something to the plate, and Charlie brings the experience. He's done it. He's been there. He's done it for umpteen years. And you have Chief along with him, and he gives his part to it. And then we have Coach Simone, who coached me at college level, and you have Mike Portlatin, who has been coaching and have been around the travel ball, and he injects what he has. And so everybody has their part that they play, and I try to emphasize that so that they can actually do the best at what they do, and then I can just kind of do what I do. And then just same thing with the kids. Just try to focus and have them have the mindset of, hey, you add to the puzzle, and if the puzzle is incomplete, it's incomplete. And so every piece matters. And like I said, Mike, he's brought some players over. Coach Charlie's brought some players over, and we just kind of helped build something. And it's just been a good thing, just watching it materialize, and hopefully it'll go as far as I think it can this particular year in itself.
Let's talk about some of the coaches today and some of the kids today. As somebody, not many people in your position have played the game at the highest level like you have, and not only played it but had tremendous success at the highest level. So, what would you say is the most important thing that high school coaches should be teaching their players who want to achieve some of the success that you've had? Like, what's the most important thing they should be focusing on?
Well, the thing that I focus on myself in particular is just the mental part of it. Mental part of playing the game, mental part of preparing yourself, the mental part of really deciding what it is that you add to the whole plate. And so, a lot of guys talk about different techniques as far as hitting. The game is still the game. You got to catch it, throw it, and catch it. And if a kid is mentally prepared to go out there and give it that 100% to focus in on playing the game, I think the results will show up themselves. So that's what we stress here. And I just continue to push that because talent and potential comes and goes. There's two things. You have God-given ability, speed, and you can't teach that. And so when you can kind of mold that and have them to focus and channel the energy, the expressions, the excitements, all of those things, so that they can fundamentally play the game sound, I think that is vital to the growth process and also the execution process of getting the job done, whether it be at first base, second base, infield, pitching, wherever it is, offensively or defensively.
So when you see, let's flip that. Is there something coaches do today that you think is just a big red flag that you see kind of across the board, or something that, because they're coaching at the high school level and trying to win at the high school level, that maybe they're doing something particular that you think is detrimental to these players?
Well, again, the game itself hasn't changed. Technique, the strength, different opportunities for kids to work out. That is something that's totally different from how it used to be. When I look at certain type of videos and certain type of strategies, it all boils down to the mental process for me. And so when they're teaching, lift and lift the ball out of the park, I like to stay to the basic concept of the game. Bunt him, get it over, drive the ball, hit line drives, get base hits, beat him with speed, beat him with executing the hit and run, the game, the art of the game that perhaps is missing some, so to speak, because you see the shifts in the big leagues and you see the guys not bunting as much. And, when I looked at Arizona, man, I said, man, these guys are still playing the game like it was meant to be. You're going to have the long balls, and those are all, accidental pitches. And that's what everybody knows. It's not like you're a golf swing, you hit a golf ball and it travels bounds. Baseball, you got to catch it right, hit it on the sweet spot. Ball's got to be elevated, this and that and the other. And you have guys that are stronger, but the basic game is to catch it, throw it, and catch it, and do that in the amount of outs that you allowed in per inning, half inning. And if you don't allow the guys to have more opportunities than is allowed, you have yourself a good opportunity to win a ball.
Sure. So the game, because I was going to touch on this a little bit, and you just did. The game kind of goes in cycles, and you see these fads come in, and then they disappear, and another fad comes in, and recently it's been launch angle and getting the ball in the air, and now you're starting to see, with some of the changes they made in Major League Baseball last year, where the running game's coming back a little bit, the small ball, like you said, Arizona had success, and when teams have success, you find other teams, it becomes a copycat league. So how much does the game, no matter how much these fads come in and out, it really just boils back to the basics like you're talking about?
I just when you mention that, you think of Atlanta. They have 7 guys in the lineup with 20 plus homers. They're out of the playoffs just like that. Why? Because of the basics parts of the game: pitching, defense, manufacturing runs. Fads, they come and go. Streaks, they come and go. And I tell my kids, the thing that happens at the difference between the major league guys and the guys in the minor league is consistency. And those guys who are consistent and you get out of slump quicker than those that don't, that makes the world of a difference. If you take 10 at bats and you got a 200 hitter and 300 hitter, what's the difference? 1 hit over a period of time. And so when you consistently look at that and just simplify the game, those things make a difference. Just like we lose a ball game in the championship game. We score 6 runs right out the bat, and we get away from the small ball stuff. We're bunting, hitting the ball, making things happen, making the other team play. And I like those odds. I like the odds where you got to catch it, throw it, and catch it 3 times versus hitting pop-ups and striking out. Make the other team play. And that's the whole setup for our game. And if we do that, I think we come out ahead than we do behind.
A lot of people, your generation, my generation, as any generation, as they get older, they start talking about all the differences of the current generation. And it's usually a lot of bashing because it's different from how they grew up playing the game. But as a coach, tell me some of the things, nobody ever focuses on some of the things that these players might do better than our generations did, or some of the areas where they're better suited in the baseball community than we were.
That's a tough one, Anthony. I'll constantly say the game hasn't changed. There may be guys that are faster, guys can throw harder. But as the Nolan Ryans, the J.R. Riches, Joe Sambitos, Doc Goodwins, all those guys threw hard as well too. And then you have the guys like Strawberries, the Consecos, you have McGuire's, you have Will Clark's, great hitters. Tony Gwynn's, great hitters. And so that hasn't changed. You're going to have those guys that are at the top. The Kirby Puckett's, dominating players, Paul Molitor's, and these guys that I played against. So when you come up with that, you can look and see, with Trout, you look and see the guy with the Angels hitting and throwing. You may get those few, and that's very few, but the majority of them, Kuna from Atlanta, solid players like a Ricky Henderson. He does it all. So Barry Bonds, steal bases, hit homers forever. You're gonna have those guys, but the game goes right back to the consistency. If you catch it, throw it, and hit it. If you hit it consistently with good contact, you get hits. No matter who it is, what it is, no matter how hard they're throwing or how good they are. Maddox is another prime example. Throw strikes, you win ball games. He doesn't throw 95. John Smoltz, all those guys. He throw strikes, get ahead, make them hit the ball. Chances are they're going to make it out 70% of the time, right? So simplicity. I like to think that way.
And you bring up a great point because a lot of people, I see the state champions every year after year for the past 12 or 13 years. And people ask me, well, what do you see that is the difference? And the difference for me isn't the top 3 or 4 guys in the lineup and the stars. The difference in the teams that are winning state titles are their 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters are executing bunts, are moving guys over and putting the big guys in position to where a run here or a run there can be the difference in a state championship game. So talk about the importance of the depth of and how do you teach that within your team where they see the stars hitting home runs and get them to really buy into, listen, my 7, 8, 9 hitter is probably more important to our long-term success than the guys hitting third and fourth in the lineup.
That's a big key, Anthony, because if they don't execute, the guys that are in the middle of the order don't get the opportunities to drive the runs in. And so it's structured and the strategy is such. And when you think about it as a whole, you have a guy that sets the table and then the big guys come in, but just those always set table guys in there. Like you said, the 7, 8, 9th hole hitter. They get on base, they get to the top of the order, whatever. And if they can execute those simple things, the bunts, the hit and runs, get the runner over, get the runner in, a run here, run there, it all adds up. And if I can get more runs than the opponents get, and I keep them off the bases, catch it, throw it, and catch it, it makes the game a lot more simpler. And when what I try to do here with these kids is show them the importance of their position, whether they're hitting 7th, 8th, or 9th, or they're playing 3rd, 2nd, or in the outfield. Their role at that particular time is to execute, to get it done, whatever is asked. And you just try to, emphasize that and have them to focus on that instead of, oh, I need to hit like the 3rd hole hitter. No, you need to hit like you are the 7th hole hitter. What does he do? Handle the bat, get the runner over, hit and run, execute the simple things and move the runners and put like you say, those guys that are in the middle of the order, who are supposed to be my guys that drive those runs in, give them that opportunity.
So let's shift gears a little bit to off the field, because you've always been one of the coaches that values balance in your life. Um, what's important to you off the field?
Well, being off the field for me, I have to live to a certain standard. When I was a kid playing, I couldn't go and play until I went to church. My parents established that foundation years ago, and just like some of the teenagers, I had a bad attitude. My mouth, not necessarily bad attitude. I just would fly off the handle of excitement and feelings and emotions. And one of my coaches mentioned to me, son, he said, son, you're not going anywhere with that kind of mouth. I fly off the handle like that. And from that point on, my coach was at that time, my baseball coach, Elihu Smith, call him Smitty. He said that to me, and that just changed the whole thing, the whole makeup. And so off the field, I tell the kids the same thing. I say, look, if you intentionally decide to do whatever you're going to do it well and be consistent with it, because on the field and off the field are the same in a sense. Because if I can take care of everything off the field, when I get on the field, I can focus directly on playing that particular game or doing what the job is that is necessary. So I try to stress that as much as possible, because just like the old saying goes, baseball is life. Everything else is second, so to speak. Because we really try to emphasize that and teach them that what they do on the field will never outlast what they can do mentally between their 2 ears. And so that particular mindset is something that I try to drive at. Unfortunately, I get emotional and the feelings come out, and it's kind of a contradictory at times. But for the most part, very mild mannered, easygoing, but stern as well, and just want to drive that home because um, when the baseball season is over, when baseball is finished playing, when you turn 35, 40, whatever, if you play that long, you're going to still have to do something that's going to have to mean something. And that's use this brain of yours. And it's the same thing on the field, simplicity. Catch it, throw it, and catch it. Execute whatever it is that you got to do.
Yeah. What are some of your hobbies outside of baseball?
I play tennis, play golf. I'm a true jock. There's nothing that I didn't do as far as athletics was concerned. For the most part, it's church, it's choir. Those are some things that I do off the field. I have an involvement with the kids at a daycare in my hometown, my home community. That's always been something that kind of burned at the inside of me, that I wanted to do something back home. And even while I was off playing, that just kind of drove me, even though I was doing clinics and stuff somewhere else. I thought, man, what is it that I can do back home? And, here I am back home, back in the community, and, having the opportunity just to offer information to others that might help them along the way, or might turn something on inside of them that they might gravitate to, so that they could, excel, so to speak.
So let's lighten things up a little bit. Finish off with some light questions. Get to know a little bit of the real Coach McDowell here. I'm going to give you some either or questions. You just give me the answers that come to your head. So the first one is seafood or steak?
Seafood.
Seafood. A perfectly executed squeeze play to win the game, or a diving catch to save the game?
Squeeze play to win the game. I like that.
Your favorite genre of music?
Gospel music, rhythm and blues.
Pre-game, BP or infield, outfield?
Batting practice.
Definitely an offensive guy.
That's right. Love to
Your
hear.
movie, your movies, a good comedy or a good horror?
Comedy, definitely comedy.
Your favorite thing to do that doesn't involve baseball?
Golf.
All right, this last one. what is it that will ultimately make you decide when it's time to hang it up and walk away from coaching in the game for good?
That's a tough question. It always comes up, once kids get to be a senior in this, but it's always coming back. There's a freshman, there's a sophomore, and a gentleman that I've gotten to know over the years, Carlton Campbell, passed away, a principal, and we did a little symposium, and we were talking with dealing with the kids, and he made this statement, and he says, "I'll never give up on the kids," and that's a difficult thing because he vowed to do something for kids, and I mean that's what we live for. What is it that we offer? What is it we have to give? And that just sounds off in my head, constantly. Never give up on the kids. Offer to them, give them the opportunity so that they might have success or succeed, excel, or just have that hope that they can do something that works in their lives. So it's difficult. This is going to be a difficult season, and just I can't say. I'm not going to say, but that time I'm sure when it comes, it'll come.
All right. Well, it's always great talking to you, Coach. It's been a pleasure getting to know you over the last 10 years, 11 years, and it's always great getting your wisdom. I wish you guys a lot of luck for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it, and thanks for having me, man. Blessings.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care.